Hello, my entrepreneur friends and family. We are back again as we round out Women's History Month. I tell you, this Women's History Month has been phenomenal. A lot of great things have happened in and around the entrepreneur circuit for women. While we celebrate those whose shoulders we stand on, and as we continue to blaze trails for those that are coming behind us. And so I have the awesome opportunity to have joined with me tonight my dear sister Sandy Harvey, who is a DEI strategist. And we're going to talk a lot about DEI. We're going to talk about all of the things that we deal with as entrepreneurs, as women in business, working women, and some of the things that keep us clustered and bound, but we don't have to be because we have a tribe, we have a community, we have a support system right amongst us. And you guys, we have to continue to depend on the support that we have in our circle. So I'm so grateful for the support that I have the opportunity to lean on my sister Sandy on tonight. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you said yes to coming on live with me and sharing tonight. So can you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, well, thank you for having me, Valise. This is super. I'm super excited about being here. I am Sandy Harvey, and I am the founder and chief strategist for Exodus Consulting Group. And we focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy and leadership advisory services. And I really love this work and I'm passionate about doing this work. So I am excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you again for joining us. So let's get started. And I want to talk a little bit about not just necessarily from your perspective, but even from the perspective of how you can help others. But tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur and how you started your business.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I actually started in entrepreneurship. I was 13 years old. My dad, he said that, in order for us to be able to remain in the household, we had to work during the summer. So I actually started, had a cosmetic line back then. And then, recently when I moved to Michigan after I got married in 2002, I could not find a job. So I had degrees, I had, experience in human resources and training and development, but I did not have union, automotive, or any type of manufacturing experience. So of course, people look at me as being unemployable. So I went into consulting at that point and did a lot of traveling throughout the US and Canada. Did that for about 4.5 years. Lots of travel. My husband, as we were newly married, he was like, "Hey, don't you want to, be at home for a while?" And so I started working full time. And then in 2017, I actually started Exodus Consulting Group. The reason being is because in 2016, I had a stomach tumor. I was working about 60 hours a week. And I asked the doctor, I'm like, what's going on? How do you get this? He says, your body is fighting against itself. And I share that because as women, I've learned to internalize a lot of things and we just do it and keep going and we keep going and we keep going. But the struggle is real and we have to listen to our bodies and we have to focus on our mental health.
Yeah,
And I realized I'm like, I am not ready to die. This is not how I'm going out.
no, that's
so
right.
so that's how I started Exodus Consulting Group, which, it has been a blessing for me since then.
Awesome. I love to hear, it's so interesting because everyone that I invite on to share with me and to share this space with me are people that I know, like, love, and trust, right? But it's amazing to me as as well as I feel like I know some of the people that I invite on to share the space with me. When I invite them on and we get to talking, I learn more. So thanks for sharing that part of your journey because some of that is stuff that I had not known previously. So thank you for sharing. And people need to know that, and people
Mhm.
need to hear that. In fact, I had a similar situation when I launched Tried and True Financial Services in 2015, I started out as a need. You know, the company that I went for went out of business. I couldn't see myself brushing up my resume to go out and get another job, so I didn't. I launched Tried and True. Even though a month later I got tapped on the shoulder and pulled back into corporate. That's a whole nother story. But after the first few years of serving as a corporatepreneur, I ended up with cancer.
Mm.
In 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was early stage detection, but I know that stress played a part in that. Yes, it was my diet, and I immediately changed my diet. Yes, it may have been some environmental factors,
Mhm.
but I firmly believe that stress played a factor in that. And so that was my wake up call to pause, to slow down and take care of me. That's what I got out of that
Yes. Yes.
journey in that situation in my life. So thank you for sharing. And that's so powerful, women. We do have to listen to our bodies. And when our bodies tell us to pause, you know, it behooves us to go ahead and take that pause, right?
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing. I know that was somewhat of a challenge, you know, in your journey, but that's a great segue into our next point that I wanted to talk about is some of the biggest challenges that you face as a business owner and how you have overcome them.
Yes. So, thinking about this question, some of the things I learned early on in business is I cannot do all things. You know, when you come sometimes from a place of scarcity and you need to eat, you're like, oh, yeah, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. And then I realized I'm putting myself back into the same place of doing work that I really don't want to do. I don't enjoy, does not give me energy. And so I had to find out what do I want to focus on? And then I also trusted that I can say no.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't think we can, but we can, when we think about the abundance mindset.
Mhm.
And then also, one that was really important to me that I had to learn is how to value my time.
Yeah.
When you start out in consulting, people don't tell you, yeah, well, this is how much you should be charging. This is what you have to figure that out. But you also have to know, how do you value your time? And that has helped me so much in realizing, for instance, I have a marketing person now. Well, I had to value my time. I'm like, it would take me 4 hours to do one post because that's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, no,
And
that's
I'm like,
right.
why am I so stressed? I can't even put two sentences together. But I had to fire
Yeah.
myself from
Yeah.
that so
Yeah.
I could run the business. That's what
That's
I had to
right.
do.
That's
So
right.
some of my challenges has been getting out of my own way, right?
Yes. That is so good. That is so powerful. And you have to know one of the things I say all the time is do what you do best and
Yes.
delegate the rest. And
Yes.
even though it may be something that you know how to do, is that your best use of time?
Mhm.
You have to know that. Is that really what you're called to do? And if that is not your calling and if that is not your lane, then you have to. I love that. I hadn't heard it said that way, but fire yourself. Okay,
Fire yourself.
fire
Yeah.
yourself and hire, you know, someone who that is their gift, that is their lane, that is their expertise, and they will flow in it with a lot
Yes.
more ease than what we're able to do. Because a lot of times we're perfectionists. We want to
Yes.
wear all the hats. We think we can do all the things, but really we shouldn't.
Right.
Well, really we shouldn't.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
awesome. And
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
have to know yourself. You got to know thyself. And so again, that just talking about knowing ourselves and how we show up in life in business. What's one of the ways that you differentiate yourself in your business from competitors in your industry?
Yes. So I consider the work we do around diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's hard work. And we are, our consulting firm is a high touch consulting firm, which means, I value excellence, I value integrity. And I realize building relationships with my clients, they trust me. They trust me to do the work. They trust me, as a diversity consultant, you're going into a company, but these executives have to trust me with their employees. And it is, something that I don't take lightly. And I want the clients that I work with to be long term, and they have been. So when I realized that my business was a high touch business, that's how I do it. That may not be somebody else's model, but I want to make sure that I'm having conversations, that I'm answering questions, that I am engaged and involved in the work that clients need in order to create these inclusive cultures that I'm sharing with them that they can have. So
Yeah.
if they can't trust me, how can they, demonstrate trust in their organization, and how can team members trust them? So I want to make sure that I'm providing the type of service that I want, because, I'm high touch. Some people call it bougie. I don't know, whatever you call it, but I like to be special. I like to feel special, and I want my clients to feel special, and they pay me for that.
That's awesome. I love it. And you have an amen corner. Chanel is sharing with us, and she said amen to that. So she's liking what you're saying, and it matters. It matters, and that is a uniqueness that you bring. Because nobody can show up like Sandy can show up. I've
Yes.
heard it. I've heard it said. In the coaching industry, that if two of us are the same, one of us is unnecessary.
Right.
So trying to be somebody else, trying to be like somebody else, trying to do it like somebody else is not the way. But you show up like Sandy and you give them, because that's what people sign up, and they're buying you before they
Mhm.
buy your service. They're buying, what you've instilled in them, the trust that you've instilled in them to, like you said, to come in and do the work. So that's good. I love that. And I know you said that earlier, that you fired yourself from the social media team, but what are some strategies that you've used to market and promote your business, and what can you recommend for others?
Yeah, so I think going along with the high touch experience, I would say probably about 80% of the business that I have is referral based. So people are saying, such and such told me to call you. And I'm telling you, to be able to build, and it's taken me, since about 5 years, almost six now, it's taken me a long time, but I rather build on a firm foundation than try to build fast. People trust the work that I'm doing, and they trust the people that are in their tribe
Yeah.
to say, okay, call Sandy, she can help you. And so to me, that is something that's of value for me. I like to, on social media, offer insights and information, and that ought to be free, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to share about being an ally, I should be able to, tell you this for free. And so it's those type of things that I think is important around how you engage, and how, what strategies I use to market my business. But mine is for real, word of mouth, for real.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I definitely appreciate, I see you out on the internet streets, and I see the information that you're sharing and the value that you're giving. And it's very helpful. It's definitely helpful for me. So continue to kind of pour into us in that space, and keep DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the benefits of it top of mind for us. Like, keep it in our face. So I definitely appreciate that. And so continue doing what you're doing. It is definitely valued, and it is appreciated. Absolutely. And so I know that once again, we touched upon this a little bit earlier. I don't know if we just kind of like we're flowing and we kind of vibing in the same vein, because a lot of what you're saying, you definitely got a cheerleader over here. But we can't talk about this enough, but we got to talk about it tonight for sure. And that is, how do you prioritize your tasks and manage your time effectively? As a business owner, we talked a little bit about trying to do all the things. We talked about stress. We talked about self-care a little bit, but how do you prioritize all of those things? A lot of people don't necessarily know how to disconnect and separate themselves. But what do you do to prioritize and manage your time effectively?
Yeah, so I mean I think that's a great question, Valise, and sometimes it is you have to take a step back and I find what are the things that provide me the most value to energize. I know when I need a timeout, and I will take the time out. I One of the things I did during the pandemic is I would block off days where I would not do any Zoom. So whether that was a Monday or a Friday, I added that into my calendar of saying, you know what, I may be working, but I'm not doing Zoom. Zoom fatigue is real, but some of the prioritization and the things that we have to think about is what just because it's easy for me to do doesn't mean I should be doing. I had to trust myself and grow my business, even when I added a marketing person. I was like, oh, I can't pay anybody for marketing, but I can't not pay somebody for marketing.
Yeah. Okay.
And so when you're thinking about some of the things that you're doing of saying, oh, I have to do all of these things, the reality is that we have to figure out, one is what's the value of an hour. When people say, oh, can I pick your brain or can I talk to you? I'm like, no, those don't come for free anymore. If you happen to be the benefit, you can listen to this wonderful interview that we have here.
Of
But
the
sometimes,
recording.
yeah, I mean, some people want it for free. It's like everything's for free. And at some point, you just realize, how do I value my time? How do I bring energy to myself? Because if I'm not healthy, I can't do anything for anybody else. So,
Cannot pour from an empty cup.
right,
You
right,
cannot. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And you know, Sandy, I employ some of those same strategies. I believe in boundaries. I believe in setting boundaries. I live by a calendar, and I believe in blocking off time on my calendar. If I see my calendar, even if it's on the day that I do take appointments, because
Mhm.
I have a Friday or a Monday blocked off where I'm not taking um, doing Zoom calls. I'm not meeting with clients. That's my day to maybe even catch up on some stuff, but at my own pace,
Right.
not based on the next meeting time or the clock time or anything like that, but at my own pace. And then usually it's a snail's pace, you know what I'm saying? And if so I live by a calendar. I block time off on my calendar. And listen, this one gonna be for free. And the people that's what do you want to call it, aged in wisdom might appreciate this, but your girl takes naps.
Yes, yes,
I take me
yes,
working from home has its benefits, and
yes.
one of the benefits is the nap hour.
The nap. That's right. That's right. I'm so there with you.
Yes.
I will get in the recliner and the way that I find out that I need a nap or I need to step away is when I cannot put two sentences together, or when I read something and I read it over and over and over again and I realize I'm still not understanding. It's like, okay, it's time for you to step away, go
Okay,
close your
great.
eyes, go do something.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, in addition to my naps, we're here in Michigan, right? And so, we get all the four seasons. And winter, with its disrespectful self, it always comes early and leaves late. That's a whole nother situation. I digress. But I love to go out for a midday walk
Hmm.
when the weather permits. I love to go out. It really refreshes, it clears my mind, it energizes me, and I can come back and finish my day. I'm really a morning person, and so I thrive better in the morning hours. But once I go out for that midday walk and I come back, I feel so much better. So,
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point is, I used to facilitate for Franklin Covey, but you have to know your time. I too am a morning person. So 3 o'clock, I know I lose energy and around 3 o'clock. So if you're a morning person, schedule your meetings early and don't do meetings late.
right. You got to know yourself. You got to
Know
know
that.
yourself. Yeah, so you shared a lot of nuggets with us about your industry and how you show up for your clients. Can you tell us a little bit more about how do you stay up to date with industry trends and adapt to your business and integrate that, if you will, into your business accordingly?
Yes. So, I've been doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work when it was just diversity. So this has been over 20 years. We've added some other, words after, but when I started, it was just diversity. And I think, definitely some of the ways that I keep current is I do a lot of research. I have people that I follow. I have colleagues that we are in. Think groups together, that we talk about experiences. One thing that I'm very sure of, which I've had a couple of people challenge me on this, but that's fine, is if you say you're an expert around diversity, equity, and inclusion, that means that you are somewhat at the end of your understanding and awareness. So I never call myself an expert in this area because there's so much to learn and so much more we can do, and so many ways that we can become more aware and emotionally intelligent. So in thinking about even what I do, I have people, trusted people that, help me with perspective because we're in that trusted space together. I'm like, you know what, can you provide me some insights on this? So I think, incorporating those things into business as we learn and grow, everybody should be in a place where they are able to learn and grow and to learn something new. And any day that I'm alive, I feel like that there's something that I can learn, not only just about how to do my business better and help my clients, but then also, um, and hopefully this doesn't offend people, but even when I think about the Bible, you can read the Bible, but if you don't know how to apply what's in the Bible, that to me is challenging. And I want people to be able to say, Sandy knows DE&I, and she knows how to apply DE&I in my organization. It's not a one size fits all, but it's a different application for each client that I work with.
Awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your clients and who your ideal client is?
Sure. Um, I start with the introduction to the client, and I appreciate you asking that. My client size range from a 20-person nonprofit to a 4,500 global manufacturing company. So, in thinking about who I help and how I help, I usually find ideal clients that are ready to create an inclusive culture. They're ready to hear from their team members. I mean, I grew up in a time where you just do what you were told to do. No one asked you about your thoughts and your opinions. I would go to work and they're like, oh, you just have to wait your turn. You can wait till I retire. I'm like, who's going to stay around for another 20 years for you to retire? I'm not doing that. And
Yeah.
so I know even Gen Zs now, they're not listening. They don't want to hear that from, our boomers and our Gen X. They want to hear that I can contribute. They want to hear the value of their work. They want to understand the value of their work. And so I'm having conversations with clients that are ready to do something different in their organization. And they are ready to empower their team members to be more creative, more innovative. They're willing for team members to share the differences. And we come to a space together where we can coexist together
Yeah.
as opposed to being separate, for because of our differences. And that's
That's
not,
good.
I
That's
don't want to do
good.
that.
That's good. I love it. I love it. So, what type of advice would you give to someone who's looking not just to, not specifically with DE&I, but I know you're part of the Goldman Sachs 10K SB, and you've been exposed to a lot of different type of whoop whoop, a lot of different type of interacting with a lot of different type of business owners. Well, what kind of advice would you give someone who's getting that's just starting their journey to entrepreneurship and starting their own business?
Yeah, I think it's important for them to know what they want to do with the business. For some, they want to stay in corporate, they may need to stay there. But for others, it may be the real desire of, I want to build, I viewed it as, I want to build generational wealth.
Mhm.
I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews, and I want to leave them with some sort of legacy. So thinking about if it's a side hustle for you, when I'm talking about entrepreneurship in business, I'm saying this is my lifeline. I want to be able to travel because I make enough money. I want to be able to buy a new car because I make enough money. I want to be able to eat where I want to eat. And so I want a lifestyle, but I want to build a business that affords me the lifestyle that I want to have. So, we can be doing this on the beach next year.
Right.
We'll be on the beach next year and we'll be doing something like this. And so my advice is do your research, um, follow people, because social media is so huge. There are probably people that are doing something similar to what you want to do. I follow companies. I look at, who's doing what and what is it that I like, and I want to learn more. And so being in a place of learning is important as you consider what type of business you want to do.
That's good. That is really good. We have to be lifelong learners because we don't,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
nobody knows it all. Nobody knows everything. And there's always something to learn, whether it's from someone older than us or someone younger than us. I learned from my 5-year-old grandson. He is a genius. I absolutely love it. So, as we round out our conversation, I wanted to give space and just talk about if you have any upcoming goals or plans or projects that you're working on in your business that you would like to share with our listening audience today.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, as you mentioned, I am a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses in Detroit for this cohort 26. And I've had the opportunity to develop my growth opportunity and my strategy. And one of the things that I'm looking to do in the future, which is going to be helpful not just for me, but for others, is I want to partner with other diversity, equity, and inclusion consultants. I realize we're helping people and it's a heavy, heavy work that we're doing. But to be able to have conversations around the work and how support each other, I think that that's important in this process as well, because, you can't shut the world out. Things are still happening around us, but how do we keep this work relevant? And how do we support each other and protect each other in this process? So that's something that I'm looking to do, is just to create a network of other DNI consultants and support them in their business as well.
I love it. Collaboration over competition because we
Oh,
don't
it's too
have,
much.
yes, it's enough room for us all. That's why we're here, because there's enough room for us all, and we all bring our own uniqueness. Well, that being said, I just wanted to share about how just working with certain organizations, and I've recently had an opportunity to partner with or collaborate with some local CDFIs and funders in the metropolitan Detroit area with a bookkeeping pilot program. And even though I knew it, especially post COVID, what COVID revealed to the entrepreneurship community, which we already knew, but it really was exposed during COVID, is that a lot of business owners did not have their financials in order.
Mhm.
So when the opportunity presented itself for the PPP funds, the idle funds to be dispersed, a lot of people had to pivot, shift, and scramble to get their financials in order. And it continues to be a prevalent issue, with small business in the small business community,
Yes.
because the average small business fails within 5 years, and it's often due to poor cash flow management or lack of funding because they haven't done the work or the research in the beginning to count the cost, to know the cost of doing business. And so a lot of times they don't want to hire or can't afford to hire a bookkeeper or an accountant and different things like that. However, your finances are fundamental and foundational things to make sure that you have in order to grow your business. So one of the things, I just participated in a pitch competition with Michigan Women Forward. And one of the things that came in second place, got the second place prize. But so one of the things that I rolled out in my business plan and pitch is that I wanted to, I am launching DIY bookkeeping live boot camp series to help those entrepreneurs who are not ready or able to make the commitment to hire a full-time bookkeeper. I'm like, how
Mhm.
can I, they're not ready for that, but they need it. So how can I package something and present something that still gives them the help that they need? So I will be accepting about 10 entrepreneurs, 10 brands who are not ready to hire a bookkeeper, but they want to DIY. They have enough courage to DIY. If I can convince them that they can do it themselves on a very foundational level, very basic level, so over the course of this year, I'll meet with them quarterly and walk them through. We'll get in a room on a Saturday and walk them through how to set up their QuickBooks, how to
Mm.
connect their bank accounts, how to categorize their transactions, how to reconcile their books. And then we'll come together quarterly, in April, to work on first quarter, and then again in July to work on second quarter, and then again in October to work on third. So I'm going to walk and hold their hand with them through the process, and make sure that at the end of the year, at the end of this year, when it's time for taxes, they have their financials to get their taxes done. And then they have their financials where they can feel confident to approach a lender to ask for funding, or they can approach, or apply for certain grants that, and not be intimidated because they're asking for their financials and they have no idea financial what. No, not only do you have your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your statement of cash flows, you got your tax return as well. So you have all of the things that you need. And so I'm very grateful and excited about that opportunity, and hopeful that, we can bring the level of impact that we're looking to bring in that space. So that's one of the things I'm excited about, and it's happening.
Well, I appreciate you because I know you're on my team. So
Yes.
so I get to pay you for services, and that's why I tell people I'm like, yes, sometimes you got to go with the expert, right? You got to pay and invest in yourself because it's
That's right.
invested in your business.
That's right. Absolutely. And that right there is where we're going to put a pin in it. You do have to invest in yourself and invest in your business if you want to see that growth and you want to live the life that you desire to live out your dreams and your goals and your aspirations. And it all goes full circle and ties back to your reason why, and why you started your business, and what you wanted to accomplish and achieve in starting that business. So once again, thank you so much, Sandy Harvey, for sharing this time and this space with me. I so appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you continue to do great and marvelous things out in the DEI community. So thanks again for coming tonight.
All right, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, you're welcome.